Oh, light. There we go. It's more like it. Oh, there we go. Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And yes, darkness has fallen once again. It's not because I had a late start today. No, quite the contrary, in fact. And I've been up and about for quite some time now. Today in particular, because because there were a few things I had to reschedule in terms of a rehearsal for Siren Story. Finally got to the second one of those. But what I wanted to do today was not the same thing as I ended up doing in the end. So I had another scene to actually type up and read it and, jingle about and whatever. And end up having printing that and showing it to the cast. I was going to do a trial between two actresses to see a certain role because one of them missed out the other session, but the other one does tell me the other one was away. It's hard for me to tell at the moment. Both of them say they're not bothered about which role they play, so I'm not too concerned, but at the same time, it's nice to actually get, their perspective, let them, design between, and also just to, observe both of them in the roles and such. So that's why I did that at first. That took me a couple of hours of adaptation time in the morning. Then after waiting for printing, an hour and 3/4 of rehearsal, but we ended up finishing a bit early because everything that we did, we were trying to do was designed for, the two people, trying to repeat those and such, and having one person there was not the ideal, so obviously we finished a bit sooner than before. I worked up a new song actually, so finally, after about 2 years, Siren Story will have a new song in its repertoire that will actually make it, rather than the ones that I tested out before and didn't really work. Because I had a hard time, because Beware of the Sirens and The End of Long Hunt, well, actually no, you don't know the songs. Never mind, you don't know the songs yet, because I kept them off the channel deliberately. But yeah, basically those two songs produce such an impact in people that I really don't think that I know it's hard for me to actually live up to that standard sometimes. That's why it's a lot of songs that I've tried to workshop before that just really have not worked out for me. This one apparently has, but I know I can tell that it's not got the same emphasis and catchiness the other two songs have. But you know what? It's fine. If I keep getting stuck at this point, then I'm not going to move forward. I just wrote a song today about that as well. If you can't tell, by the way, also pardon the visor. I don't want to put it in the backpack because they'll get crumpled up like the other one did. Anyway, as I was saying, if you can't tell, my voice is a little bit used right now. Reason being is because right after that session, I went to record a demo of that very song that I workshopped, and also two other ones. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay. Yep, just everyone make noise at once, please. I'm so glad I chose now to record. Well, I mean, I did have other stuff to do. Anyway, so as I was saying, that and two other songs is what I ended up doing. So, yeah. Well, actually, you'll see those shortly, because those two songs will be publicized. It's just that, I've really had too much time to do other stuff. Because, I thought, if I finished one of them, because I said I didn't finish writing one of them, so, and that one needs to be submitted pretty fast, for two reasons, actually. One is because actually I'm giving it to Monet to use for her teaching, But also, so yeah, if you'll see that there's one song that is, like, has a little bit, it's a bit more simplified than usual, or doesn't quite fit with my usual. That's probably why. I have wanted to try and branch it out to more, well, revision parodies again. Actually, it's a revision parody for the first time in a long time. I'm back to 2016 me, or 2018 me actually. In fact, one of the other ones is actually a revision parody that I'm remixing. But yeah, the one I'm going to give to Money is also, I'm also going to submit for digital writing, because they had to do like a new thing basically, and submit that in before lesson. That was our assignment. So yeah, hopefully that'll be fine. It should be all right, It's one of those things where I don't know what I'm saying. It's one of things where, I try to do, new stuff essentially, but I just really haven't had the time. There's so much writing to do. Which does remind me, we had an interesting one-to-one session, actually, for several reasons. My piece for creative writing one-to-one for the script, basically, rose a lot of concern because of how closely it was to its adaptation. So if you don't remember, a few months ago, I was doing one of my regular streams, Mighty 5 Years Later, that usual one, and I can't get out that way, so I'm going to go back this way. I was doing one of those, and it was the one where Zane becomes a baby. And I said, oh, this would actually make for a really good sitcom idea. Then the day after that, we had to come up with ideas for our scripts, and so I was like, okay, I just got up with the sitcom idea. If I don't act on it now, I'm just going to sit on this and it will never get used for anything. So I'm going to attempt this now. And so Raising Rome was born. And for all of it, it seemed alright, because I said, oh yeah, this is basically something I come up with in a stream and everything, and another good sitcom and everything. So yeah, but it turns out that was a misunderstanding on behalf of the tutor. He thought when I said I streamed this thing, he thought it meant that I made it and then streamed it. No, not quite. But he also said something like, oh well, I was thinking at the time, this is perfect, continue to adapt your own work, continue to make your work evolve. Which got me thinking, if this actual thing is such a point of concern, and I would be much better off adapting my own piece of work, then maybe I could ease my own workload a little bit and also indulge in an idea that is far more original, and it would be a win-win situation. So one thing I'm going to do once I get back, actually, is email that tutor, because I meant to do that a couple of days ago, but I fell asleep several times. But I meant to do that before. But yeah, so sorry. I'm so much falling asleep. I was like, there you go. But yeah, so I'm going to email him and ask him about that. See what he thinks, because I've got a submission to do over the weekend for workshops, basically. It would be nice to workshop something like Puppy Love, for example, because that's already in a TV show format, so to speak, and where the minimum requirement was for 6 episodes for a TV pitch, Puppy Love has 8, which means that if I get asked about anything to do with the evolution of the story, I have a concrete answer already in place, which actually was where I want to be, essentially, at that point. So I think it actually would work for several reasons. Not just trying to cop out myself, but also because, the only idea to change how Raising Rome works is the setting. But the thing is that you can take the setting if you want, but then the setup is still the same. And if there's concern about the setup being the source of inspiration for what then would branch out into something new, then honestly, no matter what I do, it's probably going to end up being an issue. I don't see much hope, really, for anything like that. And so I decided, yeah, that's what I want to try and do. And yeah, I think that's kind of sums up a lot of the week. I mentioned I've barely mentioned any YouTube projects except for the ones that I'm going to be working on university, and that's because honestly that came as sort of a breakthrough for me in a way. Particularly when I pitched Siren Story as the musical idea rather than any of the other plays or scripts that I could have done. I think that's why. But I don't know. That's why I was saying I don't know, because there was already so much there. Well, actually, there was several reasons. Anyway, I'm not talking about that now because I've talked about it before. But yeah, it left a mark. But yeah, but also it was still based on something else. I'm now developing the other version once again. Aidan and I did a recording of one of the songs for the first episode, and the day before that I also did another recording in that same audio booth at university for my part of that song and for the other song in question, because I'm two characters now. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. So really what I need to do is well, once I get back home, the plan is to develop these songs as quickly as possible, at least the one that I need to send to Monet. Then afterwards, really, I need to just get on with the last scene, because Aidan has the one before that. Oh, but he also needs the song, so I have even more time to go through Aidan files. It's been a long time since I've actually used Craig for anything like that. People that don't know, I used to direct the voice actors myself over Craig, and by recommendation of MC Mason, actually, or Moffle, whatever he goes by now, which worked wonders for a while. But then after some point, ironically during Puppy Love, actually, the whole idea just crumbled, and I just lost the will to carry on dealing with so many voice actors in situ and sifting through hours of recording all the time. That 45-minute session with Aidan that I was talking about is nothing compared to the 2-hour monstrosities I have sometimes, which is why audio editing used to be so egregious for me, and now it's somewhat of a breeze. Monet keeps telling me that the one thing that she doesn't like about editing Puppetry, the movie, is the audio, and that's just because it's so repetitive and you're just copying, pasting into different places and such. So I know it's not exactly very exciting, as one might expect. But yeah, I don't mind that as much, because sometimes the egregious part that I find is doing all of the gacha visuals, because that's what takes the longest. And I do enjoy that, because I do actually get to show, but my creativity mostly, I get to show that off once I've got them in the video editor itself. Like with the camera angles on, the magic, and everything else. The actual filming process, ironically, the part where I use gacha is the one that I enjoy the least out of the whole process. So that's something. But yeah, with audio nowadays, especially since the voice actors are sending a few takes themselves, or sometimes even one take, they'll sort out the takes themselves. Which, by the way, you don't have to do that, by the way, voice actors, because I can do that easily. But yeah, as long as you don't send in 50 million takes of the same line, like Aidan does, then you're fine. So that's why it stood out so much. And in case anyone was wondering, the recording I did with Aidan yesterday on Craig is 1 hour and 25 minutes long. Or 23 now, because I've cut it down a little bit. I didn't get through much of it. Last night. I was giving Monet more attention because I'll admit this right now, I messed up with her a few times recently. I need to make it up. I'm not ashamed to admit that. You know, I acknowledge when I've made my own mistakes, and I won't try and cover that up. So yeah. And also, Pika's been trying to get into contact with me. I don't know if you remember who Pika is. You might remember him from the channel like from a long time ago, like Pixelmon RC Robert did a long time ago. My least successful and least like to continue series ever. But yeah. You know, it's I need to speak to him. We need to catch up. It's not often he'll message me so many days in a row and trying to see if I'm around, or I'll message him and reply back. That's not usual for us, so I should definitely work on that song. Honestly, get some food too, and submit it, and then get to talking to Pika, because I don't have a stream today, so that, well, I don't think anyway. Pretty sure it's the 27th. I have the next one, so tomorrow, which means that I have more time. There's a chance that Monet won't want to talk to me again, honestly, but I could always, you know, just introduce her. Because normally Pika doesn't like to meet people that I know for different reasons I won't get into. But normally he doesn't say, oh yeah. It's not like personal to them. It's just, you know. He has his reasons, but the one exception, weirdly enough, was actually Roxy. He nearly met Roxy when I was still dating her, obviously. Which means I guess that girlfriends are an exception to the rule. So there is a chance, actually, because who knows? He'll probably be quite curious, because he used to watch videos of me with a lot of my female friends, especially ones from when I was still in secondary school and I was talking to real life IRL people rather than just online. So yeah, he would, and they would tease me about, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, when are you gonna date this one? When are you gonna date that one? You know, blah blah blah. You know, the usual typical, you know, japes and mockeries and whatever you can imagine. But quite honestly, yeah, you know, I kind of like laughed along with him, whatever. I've had that for a lot of my life, actually. I even talked to him about Sophie, actually, and Sophie was like the main one that everyone said, oh yeah, you know, you two are obviously gonna date. Because, you know, you're best friends in real life, and you're opposite genders, and you're both straight, and blah blah blah. So yeah, I wonder where Raina and Julius came from, you know, to all those shippers out there. I wonder what gave me the idea. So yeah, that's a fascinating concept there, but yeah, I need to... I'm gonna go. It's there. Alright, now's my chance. Sometimes you gotta play it by sight. That's my tip to surviving Liverpool traffic. Sometimes you have to play it by sight. So yeah, I think that's probably it. So I've got to go. I've got plans and stuff. I mentioned stuff that happened during the week before. Oh, actually, maybe I can talk about the actual first rehearsal of Siren Story, the one with the full cast, except for the one actress who couldn't be there. And honestly, best rehearsal ever. I mean, seriously, it actually really just like put all of the other ones in the directorials that we were doing before to shame. And all the people were there from the directorials so they could compare. I noticed this was more passionate, an idea. I sold the concept more. Everyone wanted to be there rather than just being conscripted, because that's what happened with directorials. When you get to choose our groups, they chose chose for us. I don't know, whatever it might be, or they just they're having more fun with this idea, and I can see that, honestly. For whatever reason, it ended up really working, and everyone played off each other very well, and that's why I discovered once again what earworms the first two songs were. I know that one of the actors was really particularly obsessed with the first song, but yeah, even the second one, actually, even today, another one of the actors was just humming it to themselves, or like they're singing it to themselves. Actually, when we had a break, it's like, wow, this song is going to fail immediately. The new one, basically. But I don't mind. You know what? I've done something, and to be honest, both those songs are on episode 1. So if I wanted to play it by potential viewership, honestly, those two are going to drive in people to see the series. And there's always going to be some sort of trail off. That's not always what happens when you have a series. There's always a trail off after episode 1. We'll go back to what's the second, first one, etc. That's just how it goes, especially when there's release dates that are such a gap in between them. But in general, I do hope that we actually are able to. Hold on, sorry, I'm just noticing the fact that there's a group that was behind me the entire time, and that they're casting strange looks because I'm obviously using a tripod and holding that to myself and everything. I'm going to stop now anyway. Basically, best rehearsal ever. Been very busy. I want to fall asleep, I need food, and I need to submit stuff. So that's all good. Please leave a like, what is that, because it really matters, so I don't know if it's already. On that note, until next time, farewell.